So I would like to start out by thanking everyone who watches these videos, the hundreds of people that watch these videos. All of you help me support the wonderful writer that made this fan fiction. So thank you from both of us. I don't know, I haven't really talked to him, but yes, thank you for watching these. Thank you for the support. Yeah. So I have zero. I don't have an editing software at the moment. I have a trial version of editing software, Filmora, as you might have seen in the last videos. So it won't let me. Well, it won't let me edit it without putting all of that up there. So, much like Faraz Khan with Dark Souls 3, I'm going to restart the entire thing, the entire narration, every single time I make a mistake. Chapter 17. Demon slowly came into consciousness, his senses regaining their composure. He sniffed, and the antiseptic smell of a hospital once again filled his nostrils. He tried to move his arm, but was stopped by the pain that surged through the appendage. He bit his tongue to stop himself from audibly making a noise, and instantly regretted it as he put a hole through his tongue with his sharper tooth. He waited for a while, until all his senses were working efficiently, and he could at least gain a bearing on where he was. He reached up and felt around his face, ensuring that he kept his eyes shut. When he found that his mask was removed yet again, he tried to tear off a bit of the bedcloth and was slightly distressed when he found it was made something that resembled Kevlar. He hastily continued to try and rip it, but was stopped when he heard the door open. "Mr. Demon, I see you're awake now. You don't need to worry about me seeing your eyes. I was the doctor last time as well." He relaxed at this and opened his eyes to see around the room. He was exactly in the same room as before, and the female doctor was standing at the door. She was petite and had long orange hair, as well as black wolf ears coming out of the top of her head. She smiled at him before walking over and checking the monitors off to the side of his bed. "How long this time?" questioned Demon, knowing the answer would probably be over a month. "A day," she replied, still checking the instruments. "Huh, that's funny. How long? If you didn't hear me the first time, it has been a day. You were brought in here at 10 in the morning yesterday, and now it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon." I broke just about everything. How can I even move?" "Well, not even I know that. Even people with ridiculously powerful auras cannot heal that quickly. Yet when you came in, your bones just seemed to meld themselves back into place. You were fully healed before midnight, and the only reason we didn't wake you up earlier is because we thought you might need a good night's sleep. So I can go now?" "You have been clear to leave. Your belongings are in the same place as before," she said, before pulling out the IV drip in his left arm and turning off most of the monitors. Demon turned to the right, and sure enough, everything he had was right there. He walked into the small bathroom and changed into his armor, surprised that it looked just as good as when he first received it, apart from the blood that now added to the paint job. Slightly annoyed, he cleaned it off in the shower before moving on. He checked over his weapon, enraged to see the bullet casing was still caught in the chamber. He removed the casing, pocketed it, and reassembled the weapon, ensuring it was in perfect working order. After he was finished, he pulled on his mask and fixed up his hair, his locks being slightly held together with blood. Once again, he checking himself over. He began to walk over to the door, head back to Beacon. He made it out of the hospital and clambered aboard a public airship and headed to Beacon. He was the only person to step off at the academy. but many other students were traveling to Vale for the weekend. Traveling back to his pod, he took off his armor and laid it on one of the specters, using it as a makeshift armor stand. He cleaned off everything and turned it to a new polished sheen. He refilled his ammo stocks and strung the 3 belts of ammo over his armor shoulders, using the rest of the afternoon to sort out his weaponry and patch up everything that was broken. He stocked up on most of his new equipment. He had his rope launcher on his right gauntlets, filled with 2 extreme strength grappling hooks. His left-hand shuriken launcher was stocked up on ammo. After he was done stocking up on everything, he heard his stomach growl in protest to the little amount of food he had eaten. He went over to his computer and told Sid to collect his gear from his storage locker, not wanting to risk running into Yang again. Sid, in his Spectre, arrived at the pod carrying his gear and plopped it into the ground before returning to their dorm. Demon geared up in his altered pilot suit and headed for the dining hall, using his cloak as he did. He made it there, managed to avoid seeing anyone in Team RWBY, and walked into the dining hall, uncloaking when he was sure no one was watching. It was about 10 now, so everyone had already finished their dinner and were either sleeping or partying. He walked up to the person serving, receiving a kind smile, and was handed a plate of steaming food. It consisted of about 16 ounces of beef, vegetables, and a generous helping of mashed potatoes on the side. He licked his lips and walked off to the hall, getting to work eating his meal. After he'd eaten his delicious dinner, he went back and got dessert. A generous helping of chocolate pancakes, compliments of the chef. God damn it. After he had wolfed down the food, he smiled to himself as his throat was still coated in chocolate. As he did, he was about to return to his pod. He spotted the one person who he didn't want to see right now. Team RWBY walked into the dining hall, all talking to each other until they saw a demon at the back. He swore to himself before shouting to the server, "I'll pay for it later." He activated his stim and busted through the side of the dining hall, causing glass to smash everywhere. He hated that he would have to do it again, but he made his way to the landing pads, hoping there would be at least one bullhead waiting for him. He made it to the courtyard and saw no salvation. He would just have to jump again. He was about a meter from the edge when he felt a rope wrap around his ankle. He was tripped up and turned around to see all of Team RWBY running after him. Blake tossed Gamble's shroud to stop him. He didn't bother tearing it off his leg. He just crawled his way to the edge. He smiled as he fell off the side, a bit shocked that the rest of Team RWBY was helping Yang when they had been trying to protect him just yesterday. He fell for about a foot before something else grabbed his ankle. He stopped midair and was hoisted back. Crap! He turned his head and saw that it was Yang who was pulling him back up, a determined look on her face. He was pulled back onto the island and feared what would happen next. He put up his hands in a weak defense as he waited for the inevitable to happen. He continued waiting until he felt Yang pull him into a hug. What the hell? He opened his eyes and saw that Yang was actually hugging him, and tears were streaming down her face. He returned the honor. They sat like that for a couple minutes before the others joined in. When they stepped back, Yang was sniffing, trying to clear her face of tears. "Are you okay?" she asked, a slight whimper in her voice. "Yeah, why are you crying?" She didn't answer and held out the photo of his mother, him, and Uncle Crow. "What is this?" He took the photo from her and scraped off some dirt that had accumulated on it. "This is me, my mother, and my uncle. It was taken 5 years before I lost my mother." Yang and RWBY both went wide-eyed, and they stood shocked, still where they were. Demon was completely confused, turned to Weiss and Blake. Both of them were completely lost for words. Yang recovered the quickest and grabbed Demon by the throat, holding him in the air. "What is your name?" she screamed, crushing his throat even harder. He struggled a bit and managed to pry her hands off his throat so he could at least talk. Demon. She tightened her grip, choking him for a bit before releasing it, allowing him to talk. He hesitantly answered her question, knowing she would kill him if he didn't answer. Hawk Branwen. Yang immediately dropped him and dropped to her knees, crying into her palms. Ruby went over and hugged Demon as hard as she could, causing him to become completely confused. He didn't know what was going to happen he didn't know what was happening until Ruby cleared it up for him, her voice being slightly strained from crying. You're our brother. He couldn't quite comprehend what was happening. Yang and Ruby and Yang were his sisters? He opened his mouth to say something, only to close it straight after, resembling a goldfish. Blake and Weiss were off to the side, not really having any idea what was going on. Demon couldn't really grasp what was happening, hugging Ruby back while he tried to think it through. Demon slowly released himself from Ruby's iron grip and shuffled over to Yang. Hey, you alright? Yang responded by grabbing him and crying into his shoulder. He patted her back, not really sure what else to do. Finally thinking of something he could do. He grabbed Yang and picked her up. He carried her back to her dorm, the others following in mood silence, and set her down on the bed. He finally sat down next to her and comforted her as she cried. Ruby sitting next to him, Weiss and Blake sitting on the opposite bed. It took a few minutes for Yang to finally settle down. Demon managed to at least formulate a couple of questions. So, why the tears? He asked, mostly directed at Yang. My mother, left me a year after I was born. She never really talked to me at all, and I only really have photos of her. The last time I met her was a year ago. I see. I've been wondering. How old are you exactly? I just turned 18. Sorry about the cakes, by the way. Don't sweat it. We just raised some questions. I'm 19 right now. That would mean you must have been born when I was 1. I lost my mom when I was 6. Your mother, she's Raven, right? And your uncle is Crow? Yep, that's them. But how? Demon rested his head on his knuckles and tried to think of something that would explain everything. Well, us coming to this world might have had something to do with it. A likely story, Weiss concluded, not quite believing them. Yeah, it's likely, because it is true. Anyways, the way we got here is because the warp drives in our dropship were fried by energy from a plasma bombardment. We were engulfed in a red haze and suddenly found ourselves here. My theory is that this reality is 5 years behind ours. That would mean that we would not age for those 5 years, noticing no change in anything. Everyone looked completely confused at this. Okay, that's the best I got? Well, if you're lying, probed Blake. Well, what if you're lying, probed Blake, speaking everyone's mind for this strange possibility. Ask me any question that I would only know if she was my mother. What's her middle name? Asked Yang, knowing he couldn't possibly know the answer. The demon smiled and leaned over to her, whispering the answer in her ear. When she heard it, her heart leapt again. How could he have known? She nodded, conceding that he wouldn't have known otherwise. So, how did you find her? Yang asked, not really sure how he managed to find her before him. I woke up when I passed out in the initiation, and she was there. The conversation went much the same as this one. By the end of it, I kind of figured out that she was my mother, but I never got the chance to confirm it before she left. And after that, she came and gave me my new gear on my birthday. telling me that I had sisters as well. Yang looked down at this, still not quite sure how this was true. RWBY was just quietly sitting, enraptured in the story, and happy to find out she had a brother. Wait, there's still one more thing I have to clear up. I thought your last name was Jiaolong, and yours was Rose, asked Demon, making sure that this was actually true on their part. Well, my dad is Tai Yang Xiaolong. My mother is Raven. RWBY is only half my sister because my dad remarried after Raven left. I see. Well, that means we're all technically half-siblings. I guess I'm okay with that. The three siblings hugged for one last time before bringing the other two members of RWBY into the conversation. I guess we can't break his legs anymore, sighed Yang, slightly disappointed. Weiss and Blake looked back with blank looks on their faces. No smiles? Seriously? Joked Yang again. Weiss was just groaning and walked out, saying she was going to go get some food, and Blake just followed. Demon gave his sisters another hug and walked off again, heading back to his dorm. As he entered, Kira and Rosaline both jumped up from their beds and hugged him, glad that he was still alive. What happened? Rosaline practically screamed. Well, I managed to save Yang, nearly died in the process. Demon deadpanned, acting like it was just another day at the office, which it was. We know that, but why was she trying to kill you? About that. Yang and RWBY are kind of my sisters. Kira and Rosaline blinked a couple of times, not sure if they were to believe what their team leader was telling them. My mother left Yang when she was young, so I guess she was a bit miffed when she saw her symbol on me. Rosaline was still trying to process this, but Kira just responded in the most sarcastic tone he had ever heard, apart from his own, of course. You don't say! Yang breaking every bone in your lower body is just a bit miffed. Yep. Kira just face-palmed and walked back to her bed, getting in and trying to go to sleep. Rosaline finally managed to regain her composure and change the subject to try and stop her brain from melting. You missed the dance, you know. There was a dance? Yeah. On Friday night, there was a school dance. How didn't you know? Because I never get told anything around here. Well then, you should probably know that we are going on assignment next week. We are? We have to pick an assignment on Monday. I have to get the rest of the week to complete it. Okay then, well I'm tired, so good night. Demon quickly entered the conversation and got into his bed, glad he was finally able to get some sleep in a comfortable bed for once. The lights were turned off and all of Team Drisk went to sleep, except Sid, who was just sitting in the corner deactivated as always. Before they went to sleep, Demon decided he would dig himself a hole before nodding off. Rosaline, just know that I hadn't missed the dance. I would have taken Sid. He chuckled a bit as a pillow was thrown his way and hit him in the head. He chuckled it back and went back to sleep, thinking of the next few days, what the next few days will hold. I wonder how having two sisters is going to